your bio that links there. Another trick is having your email in your bio. I know there's a little button you can push to link to your email, but your email should be easy to find. So putting that in your bio now gives someone immediate access to you if they have a question, if they wanted to join your boot camp, or even a sneak peek. And then the next thing is, does your page represent you or does it represent Beachbody? I see so many coaches where when you go to their feed, you can instantly tell they're a coach because you see Shakeology, you see a ton of brand names everywhere of the program they're doing or Beachbody itself. And you want to make sure you're branding you. You have to remember at the end of the day, every single one of us sells the exact same thing. There's nothing that I sell that you don't sell. So what's going to set us apart? And it's going to be our brand. It's going to be our feed. It's going to be that storefront and what we have to offer. So make sure that you are setting yourself apart and you're not just branding Beachbody there, because you want people to join for you. So the next thing is content. It's really important to have good content on your feed. So my rule for myself is 80% lifestyle, 20% Beachbody. So when I say 20% Beachbody, that means I'm not going to have, maybe it'll be 20% before and after pictures, 20% my workouts or my meals or my shakes even, and 80% my lifestyle. So that means the things I'm into, my kids, my family, what I like to do, my hobbies. That's the kind of ratio I want to have, rather than having it be 100% Beachbody related. The lifestyle is what you want to attract people in with. That's what that's what's going to draw people to you. So if you're only posting about Beachbody, if they're not into Beachbody or don't do Beachbody too, that's not relatable at all. You want someone to come to your page and see your lifestyle, and first off, want your lifestyle and be attracted to that, but also see what they have in common with you. My rule of thumb is one post in my feed a day and the rest goes in my stories. So that one post on my feed is my highlight reel. I'm not saying you have to pretend like everything's all rosy and dandy, but it should be your best picture. It should be well lit. It should go with your preset. It should go with the theme of your page, and the rest of it goes in your stories. So that's what my rule of thumb is. Also, I know a lot of us would probably say we lead very boring lives. And I hear a lot of my coaches say, I don't know what to post about because I am, not super interesting. So one thing I like to do is, first off, do a brain dump of everything you love. I'm one where it's like my kids are kind of my life. I work a ton. So it's like outside of that, sometimes I can feel like, man, I don't have a lot of hobbies. What do I actually post about? But this is where make a list of all the things you love. So for me, I love coffee. I love pinning quotes on Pinterest. I love cooking. I love food. I love to go shopping. I love makeup. I love bargain hunting. You'll find me at Ross and TJ Maxx and Marshalls, and I love to talk about the finds that I get there. So think about all the things that you like that maybe you can talk about, even down to the TV shows that you love, the music you like. These are things that when you post about these things, you can create conversation there. When I post about my workouts, I might get one DM that asks me where I got my yoga pants, but man, if I talk about the fact that I'm watching the Santa Claus 2 tonight, oh my goodness, DMs like crazy, or the Bachelorette. So many DMs about that where we can talk because we love the Bachelorette together. Or we love going to Starbucks and people are asking me what I drink there or where I got my outfit. People never really message me and ask me what kind of shake I'm drinking. So I like to make connections over the other things I love and then sprinkle in Beachbody. So when they go to find a coach or they're ready to join, or I send that invite, they're going to have a relationship with me. They're going to trust me. They're going to know we have a lot in common, and they're going to select me as their coach. I also love to get ideas from Pinterest. So I have this board on Pinterest called Captions. It is a secret board, so no one else can find it. But when I get bored or when I'm, lacking inspiration, I go on Pinterest and I will scroll a little bit and find quotes I love, things that motivate me. And I love to pin them down. So then when I'm in a rut, I can go on here and scroll. And it's not to go take these exact quotes and post them on my Instagram, but maybe I can get a post idea, something to write about, something to talk about and share about that comes from one of these ideas. Sometimes I do direct quotes, but usually those don't do super well. So it can trigger an idea though for me, a story I can tell about myself, to link it to one of my pictures on my feed. So I highly recommend create something that like gives you inspiration. Personal development is a great place to get your inspiration too. And anytime I'm reading or listening to personal development, when there's a quote or an idea or something that really fires me up, like write it down, highlight it, so that way you can go back to it. These are great topics to share. And then lastly, like for your stories, this is where you document your day. Like this sounds probably really cheesy, but sometimes I pretend like I'm on reality TV, like I'm sharing my life. I'm sharing what I'm doing in the morning, what I'm doing for lunch, what I'm doing throughout the day. And I lead a very, very boring life. Most of the time, the only time I leave my house during the week is to drop my son off at pre-K and then pick him up. Like I don't do a lot of stuff throughout the week, but there's so much we can share. We can share all the ins and outs about our day and what we're up to and tips and tricks and ideas. So just make sure like document your day, because there's so many times when I'm like looking at a new coach on my team and I'm, giving them feedback, I see their workout, I see them shaking their energize, and I see their Shakeology. None of that makes me want to wake up in the morning and go say, I got to see what that girl is saying. You want to have a feed where people, the first thing they do when they wake up is they got to go check your feed to see what you're up to. And if you're not sharing your life and you're not giving them something to follow along with, then they're not going to be coming and checking to see what workout you did today. So I feel like a lot of people know this, but just in case you don't, something that really can help your feed is tagging not only locations, but brands, and then also using relevant hashtags. So one thing I learned is tagging locations is huge. You can connect with other people who are local in your area or follow that location. And I would challenge you to play around with different locations. I'm not saying like tag San Diego if you're up here in, I live in Seattle, but figure out different areas. If I tag the exact city I live in, it doesn't do very well. But man, if I tag a couple cities over in Bellevue, Washington, it does pretty dang well for me. And I get a lot of follows from that. So playing around with different locations can be helpful, but also tagging the different brands and products in your video, in your posts. So this is a post from my baby shower when I was pregnant with my last son. I tagged Kylie Cosmetics for my lip stuff. I tagged Pink Blush Maternity from where my dress was from. I tagged Hobby Lobby from where my welcome sign is. And I even tagged Target for where my front rug is from, whatever you call it. And a lot of times these companies will share your post. I tag Kiss Kiss products all the time for my eyelashes. And you would be surprised how many times they have shared my post and put it in their stories and also on their feed. It's a great way to find new people or for people to follow you who have things in common with you. Same with outfits. If you take good quality photos and you're taking them outdoors or with good lighting and it's a good picture, brands will share it. Also using relevant hashtags. I swear Instagram and social media is always changing with what's best to do what to do in your hashtags, but using relevant hashtags is what is in right now. So rather than tagging 21 Day Fix and Beachbody, you have to remember who is going to go look at 21 Day Fix or go look at hashtag Beachbody. It's probably going to be other coaches or people who already have the 21 Day Fix. So if you tag other things that are relevant to you and also relevant to the photo, that's where you're going to be able to connect with other people who are actually going to be searching these things. I try to do a combination of bigger hashtags, but also smaller ones. If you're hashtagging something like fitness motivation that has millions of tags, yours is probably going to go very, very scroll to the bottom really fast because so many other people are tagging that. But if you can tag something like, for this one I did September Baby 2019, there's maybe only like 20,000. So the chances of my post staying at the top is probably pretty high. And frankly, I kind of think that that's something other moms would tag, would be, I found myself when I was pregnant searching hashtag 28 weeks pregnant or hashtag second trimester, looking to connect with other people. So I try to hashtag those type of things too. I do my hashtags in my post. I've heard varying things, but I have good success doing them in my actual post and not doing them as a separate comment. And then engagement. this is where it's really, really important. You know, you can post good content, but you've got to make sure you're engaging with your followers. And this is honestly how you're going to create those loyal followers that when they're ready, they're going to pick you over all the hundreds of thousands of other coaches in the network. Very first thing, like especially in your stories, make sure you are using the features that Instagram gives you. Instagram wants you to be social. It is a social media platform. So make sure you do polls. Make sure you ask questions on there. You can do questions and have people ask them to you, but also, you know, for example, my son was sick this week. So asking people for remedies. I know most of the remedies, but it's a great way to get my followers engaging back with me. And heck, it gives me some good ideas too. Also using swipe ups. I know you have to have 10,000 followers to actually get the swipe up feature, but did you guys know that if you guys post a story and you tell someone to swipe up, it actually just pulls up the DM. So if you are, let's say you're talking about a call to action in your feed let's say you post your workout and you're asking people if they want to try it too, especially that new bar blend workout. You can do a poll and say yes or more information. I try not to ever do a negative one because that's not fun. You could do questions and say, hey, drop your email in the question box and I'll send you an email. You could also do a swipe up and say, swipe up and drop your email in the DM, or swipe up and drop me your favorite emoji and I'll send you more information. But make sure you're using these IG features to your benefit. And they don't always have to be for call to action. Sometimes they can just be for fun. But it's a really good way to get your followers to start interacting. And the more you tell your followers to interact with you, the more they're going to start doing it. Also, really make sure you're sharing value, okay? There's not a lot of value in you just posting your workout. Maybe it might inspire someone to do it for themselves. You blending up your shake, not a lot of value there either, but think if you share your tips and tricks. Maybe rather than shaking your shake, like what's in your shake? What are the benefits? Tips and tricks. I know for me, I love cooking and I love showing my food on my stories, and I get a ton of messages like, how do you cook your eggs? Or how do you do this? Show your followers how to do these things, provide value to them, give them advice. You know, if you ever have like motivational thoughts coming through your head, share them with people. If you have inspiration to share it with your followers. Also, if you do anything really amazing, I see people do like hair tutorials and makeup tutorials. Heck, you could do a tutorial on how to cook your favorite meals or whatever it is. Do tutorials. People love that. I don't know if there's a girl named Jasmine on social media and does hair. So she talks about hair training, and all of her highlights on her feed are, how to train your hair, how to avoid breakage, or how to do this. And like, it's tons of tutorials. And I found myself one day literally up till midnight watching all of her tutorials. And you can guarantee I follow her like crazy. When she posts something new, I am listening because she gives such great advice and tips and tricks that I can benefit from. So if you guys have something that really you could teach someone else, like talk about it, save it as a highlight. People want to see these things. Also talk about products you love. If you ever have recommendations, I know for me, I'm a new mom, 12 weeks, my son is 12 weeks. So if I come across a baby product or a tip or trick, share about it. You know, like I talked about the Haka, and I talked about this little light that when I was up in the middle of the night feeding, it was great to not have to turn on a lamp. And you'd be surprised how many moms were like, oh my gosh, why didn't I think of that? And to me, they are like, well, these seems like common sense things. It's not really value. Everyone probably else knows this. I'm probably behind on the times, but share things that you love, because there's other people out there who probably don't know about these things either. And they will so appreciate the tips and tricks. And then also make sure you are engaging with your followers. So this is an example of a post I did last month, and I was traveling to leadership with my son and my husband, and it's my first time traveling with a newborn. So I went on my stories, I asked for feedback, but also on this post, I asked for feedback of traveling with a baby. I try to think of like, what would I comment on to give feedback? And for me, if it has anything to do with kids, like I swear moms come out of the woodwork and they're ready to give their opinions, sometimes not always the best ones, but this was a great thing to get some feedback and get some interaction with my followers. But the other thing is you got to make sure you engage back. So when you go to post on social media, no matter what it is, whether you're asking for feedback or not, make sure you engage back. So when you post, that first hour of posting is crucial. That's like golden hour. So when you post on social media, you better be prepared that anytime you get a comment back, that you are commenting back right away as well. If someone even comments just an emoji, comment an emoji back, comment something, engage back with your followers. For this one, when people were giving me tips and tricks, like I was responding back. It's going to create engagement on the post, but also I think followers appreciate that we're reading the comments and taking the time to respond back. And then another trick is when you post on social media, share it to your stories. There's this little, I don't know if you guys can see this, the little, looks like a paper airplane to me, the little triangle thing. Share it to your stories and cover it with something. So that way someone has to click on it to see what the post is all about. You can cover it with the GIFs that say new post, or maybe do a little like tidbit of what the picture is all about to make someone want to click on it. But it's really important to be engaging back with your followers. Don't be afraid to ask them for tips. Don't be afraid to ask them for advice on things and get them to send you messages or, respond on your posts. But also when you get the feedback from your followers, make sure to share it back with your followers. So then now it's advice and value that you can share back to your community. So another thing is tracking your insights. This is huge in my opinion for figuring out what you want to be posting. Like I mentioned, I love cooking. I have a website. I love sharing my stuff on Pinterest and on my blog. But if I ever post food on my feed, it bombs. And I would love to post food, but when I go to my insights, this is how I learn what my followers want to see. Give the people what they want. So for me, so if you go to your feed and you click on those 3 lines at the very top right-hand corner, that you can click on insights. It'll come up with a bunch of stuff. I highly encourage you to explore around in your insights. And this is for people who have a business account, business or creator account. So if you don't have that, switch over to a business or creator account so you can have this. You're not going to lose functionality, but you're going to gain a ton of insights on your social media account. So very first thing, if you go into your insights and then click on content, which is what it usually pops up as, click on posts and then click on see all. These right here, you can see these posts of mine are my reach. This is my reach for the last year. So now I can look at what posts do the best. So if you look at this, you can see a common theme. My before and after pictures do well. My top 5 posts in the last year have been my before and after pictures. And then the rest of them, you can tell I'm done up in them. I'm wearing makeup. Specifically, I can see I'm wearing my eyelashes in all of them. They're not sweaty selfies. They're not they're not even poorly done pictures. So I know that people like to see me with my hair done. They like to see my makeup. They will like to see my outfits. I should be making sure that that's what goes on my feed. The rest of this stuff, because frankly, I don't wear makeup every single day. I don't wear lashes every day. Maybe that stuff goes in my stories, but for my feed, it needs to be a lot of before and after pictures, and it needs to be me doing selfies where I'm done up. And then you can see these are drop downs at the top. You can see all, 1 year, and reach. So you can change those and see maybe the last 3 months. Maybe you can see all time, maybe the last 6 months. And then if you do this drop down on reach, this is what it pops up. You can see which posts got the most emails, which ones got the most comments, the most follows, the most likes, the most profile visits, the most web clicks. Like you can do all of that. So when I'm looking for a call to action and I'm like, which one should I do? I can go on here and see which one got of my coaching breadcrumbs, which one's got the most engagement. Of my call to actions, which one got the most website clicks, to see which of my posts are doing the best. So this is a great thing to look at, you guys, to make sure. And if you guys can see, food is not in any of this. So I know that that's probably not going to go on my feed here. But even you can look at not only the pictures, but what were the descriptions in these ones? These ones at the very top, they're all short and sweet descriptions. They're not the books where I'm telling my life story. So I know my followers probably like short and sweet descriptions. So this is a great tool to be able to use to see what you should be posting more of. And then the next thing is creating a marketing plan. Like I said, social media isn't just a throw things up and see what sticks. There is a strategy behind it. So one thing I do every single month, and I usually do this a month in advance so I can plan out my month, is I create a marketing plan. I get out a calendar. So whether you print one off or look at your phone, I schedule out when my challenge group is starting. I schedule out all my sneak peeks for the month. And if you do free groups, you can schedule those out. So anything you're going to promote for, put it on here. If you're doing a launch party for Bar Blend, put that on there. If you are doing a free, my team just did a flash sale, or if you're doing a, free live workout, like put anything that you want to promote on a calendar. So then you can then reverse engineer when you need to start posting about it. And then when so for example, I have a boot camp starting on Monday. So for the month of November, scheduled out when I need to be talking about my boot camp to make sure that I'm hitting my goals of having girls in that boot camp to start. So I'm not going to start talking about that boot camp Sunday night, the day before it starts. Like I've been talking about it for the last month, but I go in sections of when I talk about what, to make sure, one, I'm not overlapping. So for example, you're not going to catch me on social media talking about a sneak peek and talking about a free group and talking about a challenge group all at once. I'm going to pick one thing so that way my stuff doesn't overlap, because that can be super confusing to your followers. So I really recommend get a planner or get something to start making a game plan for yourself and reverse engineer when you need to start posting about it. And when you need to start posting about it, and then you can go even further. If okay, on December 3rd, I need to be starting to talk about this, you can then go, okay, what should I post about it? So that way, okay, next Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I'm going to post before and after pictures with this. And then you can also figure out how long you need to talk about these things. And I see that question in the comment over here. To me, it's very, very different for everyone. I know, okay, if I put a call to action on my stories, I'm going to get roughly this many applications. So I probably want to do that a certain amount of times to get people joining my groups. So this is where I would ask yourself, for a boot camp, how many days do you think you need in order to get the amount of people in it that you want? For a sneak peek, how many days in advance do you think you need in order to get the number of people joining that you want? For me, I try to, the very first week of the month, I'm talking about challenge groups like crazy. So for example, my boot camp starts on Monday. Up until like next Wednesday next week, I am going to be blasting my boot camp because I want to get people in there as much as I can. And once we get started, then I kind of feel like they're kind of past the deadline. They still could join, but that's kind of when then I'm going to go to my sneak peeks. And once I have, and also talking about my boot camps the very first week of the month allows me to hit Success Club usually on the first day of the month, or at least by the 5th of the month. So that's kind of my strategy there. I start my boot camps on the first Monday of every month. Then I switch over to my sneak peeks, and I usually run sneak peeks at the mid-month. And then the very last week of the month, I go back to my boot camps as a last call. So pretty much 2 weeks out of the month are boot camp and 2 are sneak peeks. But that last week of the month, I'm talking about how I have 5 spots left and the deadline to order and really pumping that up. But to me, your schedule is different for everyone, and it's good to create a marketing plan so you can figure out what works for you. And it might be a lot of trial and error of creating a plan and going, man, I gave myself way too much time to talk about that boot camp, and now I kind of feel bored, like I don't have anything to post. Or maybe you'll cut things too close and be like, dang, I don't have enough time to be posting about that, and I should have given myself more time. But the only way you'll know is by creating a plan, sticking to it, and seeing how it works. So one thing I like to do when I know what I'm talking about is to pair my breadcrumbs in my feed with call to actions. So I like to do breadcrumbs in my feed because I have found over the years that when I have a call to action in there and I'm asking people to comment or drop their email, that I don't get a lot of feedback. People don't really respond much. Whereas if I do a breadcrumb like this one here, I will get a lot of feedback. But had I put my next boot camp starts on Monday, drop your email below, probably would have gotten 2 emails off of that. Whereas when I do a breadcrumb like this, people will comment and, respond to my post. So what I do is when I've got a breadcrumb like this in my feed, I will then put a call to action in my stories on the same day. So my call to actions, this is just kind of, this is kind of just a I mean, it was longer than this, but this is kind of a sample. Like my next boot camp starts next week. You'll get this. I do a video of my workouts, an easy to follow meal plan. I even will have challengers who wrote me out some things they love about the boot camps I'll put in there. And then I have the swipe up for more info. If you don't have the swipe up, you could talk about how your link is in the bio. You could have a poll there. You could do the questions or have them swipe up and put their email in the DMs. But I find when a breadcrumb in my feed is paired with a call to action in my stories, I get really good feedback. It allows me to get engagement on my post in my feed, but it also allows me to get people looking at my call to actions in my stories. The other thing is make sure it is easy to contact you. Someone should not have to search hard to figure out how to contact you and how to get more information. So make sure you have a link tree set up. Link it to, I like to use Google Forms. Other people use different things, but have something. How are they going to give you their email to get more information? You can, like I said, ask them to vote on a poll. You can have them drop their email address in, you can have your email address in the bio, do questions and do the swipe up. And then also I saw people asking what breadcrumbs are. So breadcrumbs are pretty much trailing up. So I always think of like your call to action is the big shebang. You want people to fill out a form and ask for more information essentially. So breadcrumbs are just a little bit of information that's going to lead up to that big call to action. So you're not calling them to leave their email or drop an emoji or do anything like that, but it's talking about the same thing. So for example, if I was going to do a coaching breadcrumb and a coaching call to action, my coaching call to action would be coaching related, obviously, but my breadcrumb might be talking about how I'm able to stay home with my kids, or what I'm working hard to do, or how this community has blessed me, something I love about coaching. So it's going to be that rather than having them stop and drop their email there. So that is my portion. And now Anita is going to talk to you about turning the show into business.
Jess, do you want me to go ahead and share to my screen so you don't have to click my slides?
Sure, that would be awesome.
I have it pulled up, so I figured that just might be easier.
Perfect.
All right, I'm getting to the right slide here. 1 second. So I'll go ahead and screen share. Okay. Present. Okay. Can everybody see this? We're good? Okay. All right. So I'm going to talk to you guys, and Jess, your tips were amazing. I was sitting here on my phone doing them all, like absorbing everything. So thank you so much. So I'm going to take it a little bit further and talk about action steps that you can take behind the scenes, because getting that social media going and getting the show going and getting people excited and following you, that's fun and it's great, but how can we go ahead and do more to turn that into business outside of just calls to action? And I have a little bit of a personal story about this. At one point on my Instagram, I was getting way more engagement and traction and more followers. And every time I did a call to action, I'd have 50, 30 people interested every time. And then all of a sudden this year, something shifted in Instagram as far as algorithms are concerned. And I saw a major decline in engagement. And I didn't change the way I posted. I didn't change anything about when or how I was posting, but Instagram and Facebook, they're always changing on us. And I personally relied a lot on just the attraction marketing side of things. And I wasn't doing enough behind the scenes, creating relationships and following up with people and inviting. So I want to talk about that, because even if your engagement plummets or something changes in social media, you still have control over the growth of your business. My Success Club points did not tank alongside my Instagram tanking, because when I saw those things changing over the last year, I knew I had to dive in and start doing way more things behind the scenes to really utilize my Instagram. So if you don't have a ton of followers and you do not have a big social media presence, you can still build a successful business. You can still build an income as a coach if you are not seeing a huge, I guess you could say, I don't want to say viral aspect to your Instagram, but if you're not seeing a lot of traction, a lot of things happening, that's okay. We definitely don't want you to feel like you have to be a social media influencer and have a huge account with 20,000, 50,000 views, because in reality, most coaches do not have 60,000 views or 60,000 followers, right? So you want to know what to do right now with what you have. And one of the best tips I've ever gotten as a coach is, if you're new, focus on what you have right now. Focus on what you have at your fingertips, your warm market, people you've created relationships with and connections with, and start doing some behind the scenes stuff. I personally was recruited by invite. Leslie's on the call right now, and I will forever remember how I became a coach. Some come on because of calls to action or attraction marketing, but me, I'm the type of person that would have never, ever clicked or contacted somebody on a call to action. The only reason I ever talked to Leslie was the relationship we built. So it's not necessarily all or nothing with this. You need to be doing both. You need to be working on creating a social media impact. And, honestly, the more followers you have and the more people seeing your stuff, the better, the easier your job will get, because more and more people will be signing up with you. But at this point in time, if you're a newer coach or you don't have a big, following yet, you can still build a business. I built my business to 8-star diamond and elite top 10 with my Facebook personal page and a little bit using my Facebook like page. I didn't start the Instagram journey until I was like a year and a half in as a coach. And I didn't really start taking my Instagram too serious, or Instagram stories, until about 2018. So it is possible to do a lot behind the scenes too. Okay, so my topics are going to be personal message, how to invite via call to action, so something we've already kind of touched on, how to create relationships through personal message, how to create connection via comments, and how to follow up and why, and how to track and keep relationships building. I need to take a sip of water. And it's pouring rain here, so you guys, I might kind of come in and out because it's kind of going nuts right now. All right, next slide. So there are 2 ways to invite. Whoops. From my experience. So there's the private message invite, and I'll give you guys an example of what that looks like. And somebody asked me a couple of days ago, does this really work for you in your business? You messaging a bunch of people that follow your page? And I was like, actually it does. At this point in the month, I'm at Success Club 60. And 90% of that was me sitting down and inviting. So don't let the 1 or 2 or 3 people who say no or give you some negative feedback, don't let that stop you. Because some of the people that I invite, they just started following me, or they just started like getting on my vibe and checking me out. So don't be afraid of personal message invites. They do make a difference, because some people are too afraid to reach out or too afraid to actually take part in a call to action. That was me when I started. So that's why I keep inviting behind the scenes on top of my calls to action. Just because I know I might find that girl like me who's just terrified to reach out. So calls to action and inviting are equally as important, and you can do both. So here's an example of a basic invite. So it's a hey girl message, and I know everyone's like, ew, don't do that, but they work for me. So I'm just going to share with you what I do. But this is a quick, hey girl, thank you so much for following my Instagram. If I were to hook you up with a meal plan and workout plan, would you be down to dive into a 6-week workout routine with me? And this gal said, what would this entail? I already work out almost daily, but definitely need help in the food department. And so in what I do, and you don't have to do this, but I personally take everybody to a form, because I cannot possibly keep up with everybody. I want everybody in a database. in a bank. So when I go to follow up, there's mass action being taken, and I don't have to sit at my computer for hours individually following up. So I send everybody to jotform.com, and it's free when you first get started. You can create a very general form. It does not have to be fancy. In fact, my forms have always been really basic because I want my coaches to be able to duplicate this, and I don't want customers to come to the form and get overwhelmed and peace out. It's super simple. What's your name? What's your email address? How'd you find me? So I know what to keep doing. And when I do this, it's so funny because the how did you find me has it really, I would say 60 to 75% are you messaged me. Okay. So I like to take it to a form, and then when they do come to my form and apply, I will email them back a very generic description of my challenge group and what that entails. So I can't really give you the entire email, but it's basically the outline up front, everything, because I personally do not like to be strung along by somebody trying to sell me something. I want the facts, I want the details, and I want the cost right away. That's me personally. I don't want to be led through this giant funnel to find out at the end that it was $160. It's $160, whether they went through a funnel or not. So I do in my email give them a very valuable description of my virtual bootcamp, the meal plan, the workouts, how I provide, daily support and motivation and recognition and fun. And then at the end, I do just really dive into the value of Shakeology and the cost and the value of what it would cost to get Beachbody on demand for a year on its own, or doing it with a challenge pack. And I give them the price, and I just say, hey, are you in? Are you ready to do this? And then when they come back, it's usually what's the cost? And then I have an email I send back that tells them basically line of the cost, and then I have a little menu with the very cost.
Yeah, great.
You are unmuted. Make sure you go ahead and mute you and your baby. Perfect. Okay. So in the email, I try really hard to give
Yeah, we can just save the $100.
Let's see if I can. Leslie, are you still Lindsay? Can you mute this person?
I know, right?
Like, yeah, I'm gonna be drunk. I'm gonna fall into my routines here.
Mwahaha.
Let's going.
Mwahaha.
Should I just try to talk over them? Yeah. Julia. I hope your husband's not really drunk right now. I'm kidding.
All right, deal is finally done.
Okay, I'm just gonna go over Julia.
Took a while.
What the fuck?
I'm just gonna go right over, and hopefully you guys can.
What? Hold on. I don't know, but
So, very upfront, very detailed, but also value driven. Okay,
No,
and it's not automated. I make sure they get the details.
What?
Personally, from me. Okay.
No, why do you like that so much?
I'm sorry, guys. I don't know what to do. Can we kick? Are we able to kick? Boo, I'm so sorry, guys. Julia. I think it's muted. Okay, thanks, Julia. All right. Okay, thanks, Leslie. All right, so email works best for me, bringing them all over to email. That way I can track, that way I can keep them in my jot form. And what I do after I've followed up with them 2-3 times, and I'll talk more about follow-up in a minute, they do go into my MailChimp, which is also a free service where I house all of the email addresses I've collected over time so that I can send a monthly newsletter. Okay, so here is an example of a call to action invite. I love doing freebie groups. I love doing them because when I go to invite people that were in the group, they're more likely to listen to me because there's been value exchanged. I've given them something. I've given them a little glimpse into what they're going to get by working with me. And my free groups, I pour my heart and soul into them. I go live daily. I provide meal plans. I provide, sneak peek workouts from the past, and I just pump them up with what I do in my virtual boot camp. So it's kind of like a virtual boot camp sneak peek, but this is an example call to action. You guys are welcome to take a screenshot, but yeah, anything that is eye-catching, that tells a story, and then a caption that's really brief, but hey, look at all the value you're going to get up front, okay? So let's see, next slide. Okay, and here is a call to action that I do in my stories. So I try to do a little tiny call to action every day. I don't like my stories to get drowned by a long call to action. I do one long one or two long ones per week. Sunday night is my jam because when I look at my stories, my views are double to triple the size Sunday night. So on Monday, this is how I know, because I go to my stories on Monday and I look at my past 24 hours and I'm like, dang, that is prime real estate for Spot to post. So this post doesn't really give a good example because it was 11:11 a.m. But this is a short call to action I do. Super sweet, super short. It happens after my daily morning routine. I post the same exact stuff every single day. It's like clockwork. Everybody knows if they go on my page, it's affirmations, celery juice, crack juice, which is energize, my workout, and then a quick call to action. So I go through all those steps because that's what my virtual boot campers, I encourage them to do. So I go through all those steps, and at the very end, I put one little call to action. Are you ready? Let's do this. Swipe up. And I give them a list of the things that they're going to receive from working with me. Now, if you don't have the swipe up option, I think just touched on this, but you can swipe up, you have them swipe up, and I think they can place their email into your page. I think that's the case for everybody. But if you don't have the swipe up option and you don't want to do that, a poll saying yes or yes. You don't have to put yes or no. You can literally go in and type yes or yes. So if you're interested, click yes. And then go and talk to the folks that clicked on that poll, okay? And then make sure you get that email address. But this is a quick little, hey, my morning routine is coming to an end. Do you want to do this with me? After going through the process of showing them what it is that I'm doing. Okay, so the next big tip that I have in regards to turning things into business is my landing page. And it's truly just my link tree in my bio. And this just gives people a way to reach me and learn more about me without having to search too far. This is a really easy place for if they're like, hey, I want to do whatever it is that she has. So these little links go with what I'm promoting in my feed and in my stories. And I will tell you, I don't get a lot of business from this, but I do get one or two great boot campers or coaches. So like I said, my real way, like the one that makes the biggest impact right now, at least, is inviting and calls to action. But this does give them that last place if they're just like, I can't get in touch with her, maybe it's a weekend, and they can go grab this stuff for themselves on their own. And every time somebody fills out one of these forms, they automatically are placed into my MailChimp. You don't have, that's hard automation that I'm not going to teach you guys tonight, but you can just basically take all their emails from JotForm, because you can look at all the submissions, copy it and paste it over to your MailChimp, and boom, you're building that email list. And email lists are so crucial because, guys, Instagram could disappear tonight. Instagram could be gone. It's very unlikely, but the life and livelihood of a social media account is not as your email list. So you can kind of drive traffic over there. That's great. Great example. Guys, Facebook was like the thing, right? Like 4 or 5 years ago, I built my Facebook 98%, my business was built from my Facebook personal and like page. And every call to action was crushing it. I was getting 4, 5, 1,000 likes on every post. I mean, I thought I had it in the bag forever. And then all of a sudden, Facebook tanked. I'm not sure if it's on the rise again because I'm so focused on Instagram right now, but I had to rely on my email list to hit Success Club for a few months and my Instagram while I was getting my Instagram up to speed. So please try to get people to email so you can keep them on your newsletter list. You can do follow-ups, group big, massive follow-ups every few weeks being like, hey, here's my next virtual boot camp. It's kicking off May 1st. I have open enrollment. Email me back. Say you over the next 5 years, collect 5,000 emails. That's 5,000 guaranteed inboxes that you're going to land in weekly if you keep that list going. I currently have almost 20,000 emails in my email list, and I can email blast them the next challenge group call to action, and I will hit Success Club 6 right away because I have all the instructions on how to enroll in my virtual bootcamp. That's the kind of goal you need to have in place for an email list. Your email list can really pay off over time. So it is worth the extra effort. And I know I was really hemming and hawing over the email list thing because I was like, gosh, that's really complicated. And guys, you can absolutely build an incredible business without an email list, okay? So don't get too hung up on that. Maybe keep that in your back pocket and keep it in the back of your mind while you're collecting people's emails. Okay, so there's other ways to connect through your Instagram and your Facebook. At the end of the day, you guys, this is a relationship business, and I know that firsthand by the way I was enrolled. I know my psychology, I know what it took, and it took a relationship being built from my coach and me over time. And the 4 other ladies you see, their little cute heinies in this picture, same thing. I have have had a really close connection with them over time, just from them following me and then them, coming back and forth with me via instant messenger. So to keep the ball rolling with relationships, I always welcome new followers. So whenever I see a new follower pop up, I go right to their page and I just say, hey, I see you. Thanks so much for following my page. This is what you're going to get value-wise from me. I hope you enjoy, and let me know if you ever need anything or have fitness goals that I can help you with. Just know that my Instagram stories are where it's at. I post my workouts and my food, so please check it out. You will not believe how many people I have sign up right away from that. They're like, wait, what? Fitness help? They go look at my feed. They're like, I want to do that. Most of the time, not the case, but I have had it happen a lot. But most of the time, they just say, thank you. I'm excited to follow along. What happens when you do that, when you message somebody, is that you land in their feed. Your posts start coming up because Instagram recognizes your connection with that person and wants to honor it, because this is a relationship social network. So try to welcome as many people as you can. I know it can get really hard, especially if you're adding a ton of new followers. And for those of you who are super seasoned, this is definitely something that you could hire or have an assistant do. Maybe you're in your 3rd, 4th, 5th year and you don't have time to sit there and welcome all your followers. Have an assistant take on that task for you. My motto with this business and any business is, if you've mastered it and you can teach it, outsource. If you can afford it and you've mastered it and you can teach it, outsource so that you can go on doing something you really, truly love. Okay. Comment on posts and stories. Again, commenting back and forth with people lands you in their news feed. Commenting and messaging people through their Instagram stories puts them in in their news feed, brings you to the front of their stories, so they're more likely to hit you up. How do I know this for sure? So I kind of tested this theory. Recently, my friend, Kim, she's a huge Instagram. She's the top coach in Canada. I messaged her because I noticed that something had happened with her husband. He had gotten sick. And so I was randomly on my feed and I saw her post. I clicked on her stories and I messaged her through her stories and I said, hey, oh my gosh, I'm praying for you. I hope everything's okay. I have not been on her stories in months. She has not been in my feed other than my Instagram feed. And all of a sudden when I refreshed, she was the top story. And she has been since that message went out a month ago. So if that was the case with Kim and I have to trust that that's going to be the case most of the time. Also comments, posts, stories, messages, they create relationships, they create trust. When you start that, you've kind of built that gateway to trust, you have more of a chance of having them come around and enroll with your virtual bootcamp or coaching. They're more likely to listen to you. Now, say you're Johnny Appleseed from India with fake photos and you message someone, hi, sign up with me as a coach. What do you think is going to happen? He's going to get blocked by everybody. So you've got to have it where you look like you're an established human being with an established page with a history of posts, but you also want to create those relationships. And it's very simple. A simple comment can go a very long way. So 5-3-1 method or the 4-1-1 method. Need more water. And I'll try to wrap us up here in a couple minutes. So the 5-3-1 method or the 4-1-1 method, really I'll dive into this, but any kind of method doing this at any number will help because comments, likes, follows, things like that, that's what Instagram wants you doing. So the 5-3-1 is 5, and I learned this from Chalene Johnson. She's the queen of growing social media. She has a training called the Instagram Impact and the Social Media Impact Training. But I learned the 5-3-1 method, and that's 5 likes, 3 comments, and it's either a message or a follow, or you could do both. I do mostly 5-3-1. It is a lot of work. So again, when you master the 5-3-1 method, having your assistant, when you get to a point of being a few years in, you have an assistant, having them do that for you is super helpful. But the 5-3-1 method is the only thing that I have done really to grow my page that hasn't been blocked or created bad engagement. When you go and you do something like buy followers on an app, which is very bad news bears because they're all bots, okay? And Instagram hates that and they will block you, shut you down, make sure your account has horrible engagement. Trust me, because I have done it, okay? I once bought 5,000 new followers from an app and I was like, heck yeah, I cracked the code. I'm gonna be a bazillionaire. And then everything tanked, okay? So stay away from that stuff. If you can at all, get on the 5-3-1 method. 4-1-1 is just 4 likes, 1 comment, 1 message. You can do it that way if that's quicker. Sometimes I have 10 minutes. Sometimes I have an hour to do this. Often I'm sitting in front of the TV with my husband watching a movie and I'm just sitting there meeting new people. That has been the most quality way of building my engagement and my following. In my opinion, it's not about the number of followers you have, and it's not about the engagement on your feed. It's, to me, your success is measured in the amount of messages that are happening in your inbox, relationships that are forming, comments that are happening in stories, people asking you questions. That's where the magic for business building is happening. Yes, it's fun to have 60,000 followers. I have 63,000, I think, and that was grown over 7 years. But the number, no matter if it was at 36 or 66, my amount of conversations happening behind the scenes have not really changed much, to be honest. So that's a great method. Jess and I kind of went back and forth on some of the methods that are popping up, like the follow, unfollow, and just going and following a ton of big accounts and hoping people follow you back. So there are, buying likes and follows, shout outs. There's so many different tricks and hacks that you're going to find on YouTube. But guys, they can be bad for your account because Instagram has really hammered down on authenticity on social media. They want everything to be authentic because they want to protect their Instagram followers. They want to protect people in their business. So the best thing you can do, guys, is just focus on those relationships, those comments. And I know it's like, where's the quick fix? How can I just blast off into amazing success? You know, the relationship building takes time and patience. But I feel like 5-through-1 is a great method. I know of like top coaches who use the 5-through-1 method, and they'll write on a notebook paper 1 through 50 and aim to do 50. Oh, I love you. Good night. Aim to do 50 to 100 5-through-1 methods every week, consistently, no matter what. I bet if you did 20 to 100 every week or month, in a year, you're going to see huge growth in your Instagram engagement. And that's where the magic is, not the number, not so much, all the fancy stuff. Really, it's all about those relationships at the end of the day. Okay. Follow up. Let's go through that really quick, and then I will let you guys go enjoy the rest of your night. Okay. So I wanted to give you guys a funny example. This message is just from, let's see here, November 18th. This chica was the rest of the original message I showed you in the beginning of the invite. This is the rest of the message. She signed up via email because I got her over to my Jot form, and then we talked on email, and now she's a coach. But what you see here is a dedication to following up with this girl. I followed up with her 5 times. She didn't answer me. She ghosted me. I kept going. I wasn't harassing her. I was very respectful. But as you can see, there was a lot of like, hey, where are you at? Like, what's going on? So often in my experience, it's 4 or 5 back and forth messages where the average person will enroll. And if you look at some sales training, you'll see also that the fortunate is in the follow-up. That's what a lot of business trainings say. And it often takes the average human 5 times being sold something before they actually buy. Okay. So don't get discouraged, and know that people are busy. They have lives. They're not in their inbox like you are. This is your job. It's not their job. So they only check into Instagram for fun and value. So yeah, you got to follow up, and you got to, go for no. There's a book called Go for No. And that's my goal every single day, is to go for 100 no's. How can I get more people telling me no? Because I know no does not mean no forever. It means no, not right now. They're not ready. People also need to see your level of commitment to the product. So many people sign up for MLMs and network marketing and influencing opportunities, and they reach out to their friends right away, and then they quit. That is the average situation happening with multi-level marketing companies. They join and they quit. And so a lot of people are getting hit up by people who are in and out of the company they're in. And it doesn't show for any kind of trust or relationship building. So people kind of have to see your level of commitment, so that they've seen over the last year that you've reached out over and over again, and you're still posting amazing content about how amazing your challenge groups are. They're going to come around and be like, okay, you mean business. I'm going to answer you. So it was not the right time is usually the reason people don't enroll. So we're selling a new life, a new lifestyle. We're not just selling a product. People need to be ready for what we do. People buy hair care, skincare, makeup, jewelry, clothes on a whim. That's an easy sell. What we're selling is a big sale. Okay. It's a pretty decent sized commission. If you sell 3 or 4 challenge packs in a month, that's a pretty good commission. But you've got to get people's buy-in. It's not just a $20 lip gloss. You're looking at $160 and committing to 60 days with you. So people have to be ready. And usually at the first invite, guys, people tell me no because they're not ready. But once they've watched me be proof that the products work by doing all the things that Jess had shared at the beginning, through that, they're like, oh, okay, she's reached out to me, a relationship has been built, and she is in that social media doing her thing and showing progress. anytime that I am in great shape, in great health, in great spirits, in great mindset, doing my vital behaviors, you guys, my income and my Success Club points go through the roof. People can feel, sense, and are attracted to the vibe you put out there. And if you're putting out there doubt, fear, if you're eating buckets of fried chicken and drinking 6 beers a night and you're not taking care of yourself, yet you're posting selfies and you're posting about your workout, but you're gaining weight, people are going to see right through your message of, hey, join my boot camp and get fit, get healthy, reach your goals. Meanwhile, I'm over here living on fried chicken. Okay, so you've got to be genuine. People will feel your authenticity and your energy and your excitement. And when they see it working for you and they personally know you and have built some relationship, some level of relationship with you, then they are more likely to sign up, because they're like, hey, if my girl Anita can lose 70 pounds or reverse her hypothyroid syndrome by eating this way and working out this way, I bet I could too. I'm going to take her up on her offer. Okay. All right. The follow-ups, fortune's the follow-up. Most of when I look at my Success Club points and I go back and I track who's signing up, I go and I see so many messages and emails back and forth, back and forth. I have scrolled back to 2014 on a few people. Okay. So you definitely have to be talking to more people. Okay. Also, let me tell you about my invite system. When I sit down to invite, I still do this to this day, but I also have an assistant doing it with me too. I write 1 through 60, 1 through 70 every single day on a notebook paper, and I make sure to fill that sucker with invites. I invite people by swiping up in my stories and inviting the people that are following my stories, because those are warm market people, believe it or not, you guys, because your social media news, your news story or your stories, if people are watching them daily, they know, love, and trust you. Okay. So you have the right to swipe up and say, hey, I see you following me. I see you following my Instagram stories. I want to let you in on a little, boot camp I'm running. What can I do to, get the conversation going? But I try to touch 60 plus lives a day, and I write it on a notebook paper. I, in fact, have my notebook here somewhere. But I pay an assistant who, I pay her a few dollars an hour, and she also does the same thing. So I double down on my invites every day. But most people on those invites say no, but I have their email address because I asked them for it. So I brought the conversation to email, and now they're in my mailing list. So they're not going anywhere. So common little follow-ups you can say, did you see my last message? I know it was the weekend, so I just want to make sure I caught you. Or number 2, time urgency. Hey, my next challenge group, December 2nd, where are you at? Let's do this. Like, I want to get your challenge pack ordered. I want to get you in the group so we can start on time. And so you can get your tools on time. Cost urgency. Hey, that $20 promo code is going to expire soon. Or, hey, that $20 discount in challenge packs this month, it's going to be over soon. Let's get you taking advantage of that now. Or simply saying, hey, are you free at 6 o'clock tonight? I'd love to hop on the phone with you and get you set up with your challenge pack. Okay. I used to do that a lot in the beginning. Now I talk to a lot of people, so I don't always have the time to get people on the phone, but I've had really great success with, if you're like at the end of the month and you've got to hit Success Club, this is a great way to lock it in. And then be funny, be yourself. There have been times where I would send the ghost emoji and be like, hey, I saw you watch my story yesterday at 11:11 p.m. Here, see, screenshot. I have messaged you 7 times. When are we going to talk? When are we doing this? I have had an outstanding response from people. They're like, girl, you crack me up. Your stories are amazing. You make me laugh every day. I'm just not ready. Okay, great. How about this? I grab your email address and I keep you in the loop on what my next group is. Okay. I've broken down barriers. I've built trust. I've made them giggle. They're like, okay, I got to give this girl my email address because she just called me out and sent me the ghost emoji. Okay. So have fun with it. And then stand out and engage. If they're saying no and they're just not interested, just keep commenting, keep following them, keep engaging. And in a great way to do that on mass level is getting them into a newsletter, getting them into your email list. I cannot stress that enough. All right. All right, tracking tips. I've already went through this. Jot forms and Google Streak, pen and paper, Google Sheets, Excel, MailChimp, Mail Merge, Blind CC. All of these things are ways that you can mass and double, triple, quadruple down on efforts. So getting those emails to your Jot form, taking them over into MailChimp or an Excel spreadsheet or Google Sheets, or heck, you're new. Pen and paper works great too. I built my business in my first 8 months, pen and paper, no problem. Hit SC10 every month. Not a big deal. But when things got a little bit crazy and I got to be about 2 years in, mama could not carry around that much pen and paper. So I had to start finding a new system. So I started using Excel, and then I moved it over to Google Sheets, and now I'm on MailChimp, and I am mail merging people. If you want to learn how to mail merge is great because it looks like you're individually messaging and emailing each person, but you're not. You're actually messaging, you can message hundreds of people via mail merge, and it looks like you're only messaging them. You can also blind CC, but that creates a mess in your inbox, but it also makes it so they can't see it, that you're messaging other people. But yeah, I do a lot of mass, and I also do individual follow-ups, especially if the conversation is about coaching and we've been going back and forth in my inbox. I do a lot of that. But when it comes to like lower quality leads, a lot of people who have said no and they're just in my newsletter, I do a lot of mass follow-up, mass action, sending a newsletter, sending a, hey, my next group is over here. We talked last month. Let's do this. And Google Streak, you can set up all kinds of systems that make sense for you. But I'm telling you, those newsletters bring me a lot of business now because people, what's great about inbox on email is that if they have opened your email before and they've emailed you back, your email ends up in their primary email inbox. They'll see it. But if it's just this post on Instagram, they may never see it. But you're going to get in their inbox and they're going to see it over and over again. And if you are providing value in your newsletter, they're less likely to hop off your newsletter. Okay, so recipes, free workout, sneak peeks, Barb Lund sneak peek just came out. Send that in your newsletter. Send recipes that have been working for you. Send transformation stories to inspire and motivate. You can even do a YouTube video and just simply say what's working for you this week. Super simple, but if they're opening your email, your click rate's high, they're opening it and they're looking and they're deriving value, you're going to land in their inbox more and they're more likely to sign up at a call to action. All right, and so I slip a call to action in on every newsletter. It's at the very bottom. It's like, okay, are you ready to do this? Let's go. And I give them the option to email me back. So I'm always kind of sneaking in those calls to action in the midst of value. And it's a huge benefit to my business. And although hard for new coaches to duplicate, this is something that you can look forward to in the future. But if you're brand new, which many of you are, pen and paper, Excel spreadsheet, printing out an Excel spreadsheet and just using it for the week, super helpful too. And I think that's it. That's it for my slides. So I'll stop sharing. And it's 10:19. So I'm sure we're going to have lots and lots of questions. So if you want to just throw questions in real quick, if you have anything pressing, I know Jess and I covered a lot of stuff tonight. This call was finally recorded. Most of it got recorded. So the leaders of this group will be posting the recording into their team pages. So you'll be able to access the recording and watch this again because we threw a lot at you guys tonight. So have a great night. Jess, I don't know if you want to hop in and say anything else.
No, I think we covered it all.
I know. I don't think we've left any. All right. You guys have a great night. Thank you so much for hopping on, and we'll see you next Tuesday for the next Superstar call.